Hello, everyone. We are back. Now I am here with Lance. We are going to skip the desk because the games are not stopping. We're going to get right into the action. Draft is going to be up in just a second for you guys. But now that we have someone else's opinion, Lance, I know I called you out for letting me cast. I know you were watching that game. Well, tell me your thoughts. How do you feel?
Absolutely electric. I don't know if I've been this surprised in a minute by a game. As I mentioned at the beginning of some of these broadcasts, royalties are kind of favored to potentially even make a splash in our main event and get to the finals and maybe win our main event. And we just saw them go down to Rogue, living on a dream and a meme over there with those guys. Really great job of them picking up Crashy. I'm sure Crashy had a lot to do with their calling, moving around the map and stuff. And I just gotta point out, dude, Royalty only got one tier 2 tower that entire game. That game looked close, but holy cow, if Rogue wasn't in control of that almost that entire game, which I don't know if anybody was expecting that other than some Rogue fans out there. So shout out to them in the way that they played.
And that's something you did mention while we were on break. It's like that game was dead even. We had Royalty prioritizing or trying to prioritize the neutral objectives, I believe, but then it was Rogue who was really looking at the overall map pressure. Royalty wasn't ever able to squeeze out that lane pressure and lane priority that they wanted. I believe they were just looking for the small incremental leads through the neutral objectives, and then they would have just pushed down the tower once they won the fight. But that never really happened, even though they were able to pick Crashy out when he was caught and overextended, even though they were able to get these small picks and these advantages. They didn't, I guess, now that you were from your perspective, they didn't actually get to do much with those things. And then Rogue just answered it with a punch right back in the face.
Over and over again. Yeah, it really seems to be the method they were going for. I know that our desk did do some good discussion of the fact that they got a lot of high priority picks. Sevarog is kilometers ahead of anybody else in the offlane right now. You can pick some cheesy mages into it. You can try to get a little bit of a lead on it super early, but Sevarog is too oppressive. People need to be banning that or picking it first rotation, even with the priority that Howitzer has right now. I do want to set the stage really quick because I don't know if we've talked about it. The match that we are about to have is for who gets 5th and who gets 6th. I apologize. In our main event, this game is going to be between Bronze Army and Royalty, the loser of the match that we just saw. We are getting straight into drafts right now, which is wonderful. We have got Royalty and Bronze Army. What are you expecting to see changed from the last match that we just saw for both of these teams, Jack?
I mean, I don't even know. Bronze Army, the one game I've managed to cast and watch with them, they did such a good job of making sure that their ADC, their star player, well, one of their star players, got the gold he needed. We are seeing the Howitzer ban come out of Royalty. That needs to be a Sevarog ban. Sevarog, the Demon King, has not been able to be stopped to this point just yet. And any character on him has been doing so well with him, too. Any player, rather.
I completely agree. I think that you have to get rid of Sevarog here. If not, I don't know what you're really planning on doing to answer it. Crunch was at a time considered to be a traditional lane counter to Sevarog. With some of the changes that have happened to both of those champions, Crunch taking a little bit of a hit, Sevarog getting a little bit of a steroid injection there, kind of swings that pretty hard the opposite direction. Crunch wins like level 1, but pretty much as soon as level 2 happens, Sevarog is just in control of it. So it'll be interesting to see where they try to go that way. See what Stark is going to try to play into it if Royalty does pick it up first rotation as well.
Yeah,
and I also don't want to use too many puns within this, but this is actually a game that has got a lot of Twitch predecessor royalty within it. We've got Pinzo in here, we've got Crashy in here, we got Tekken Kid in here. We've got I apologize, right at the top of my head I can't remember them. But like this game is a who's who of who streams Twitch on Predecessor, so you're definitely gonna want to check this one out.
That's definitely sure. As like we said, Royalty.
Oh, CM Stark, duh. Sorry.
Yeah, Stark. We have Stark. We have Seismic. We have Province. We have.
Appy's supposed to be on this,
Appy's supposed to be in this game, and Appy's someone you definitely need to watch. He's such a good person. He knows the game very well. Me and Appy used to play over the years way back in Paragon together, and then we reconnected on League, and I remember having a conversation. Appy was a gold player in League of Legends, and he's like, next year I'm going to be a Masters, and he's like, I'm going to focus all my time on learning how to be a master player in League of Legends in 1 year. Just you watch. And I doubted him. I said to his face, I'm like, are you sure about that, man? Like, you're 25, 26. We have boomer hands now. Like, that's a long ways away, and he's like, bet, and then he did it. So I ate my own socks.
It's also been pointed out to me that Appy Picker is on Rogue, not Royalty. So my apologies for getting my rosters confused. The R words got me all mixed up. But the Steel Band. The Steel Band.
Excited from the last game. It's got you all discombobulated.
So they're going to leave the Sevarog up, Jack.
They are going to leave the Sevarog. So Royalty needs to secure that right now. Because that's one of the reasons why they're actually put down in this bracket and they didn't win that game. Tekken Kid just absolutely steamrolling them. They're actually not going to get it. They're going to prioritize the Gideon for Seismic instead.
Rampage! This has got to be a Sevarog, or I might just leave. What is going on with this draft so far? Okay, there
it goes. We're back to normal.
So now it is time to say this. Royalty has to pick up a tank here. It's unfortunate. There's really nobody left but Richter at this point. Right. Shimby's not a tank. There's no true tanks left up but Richter right now. Royalty isn't going to pick him up. If Bronze Army decides to lock in Richter, we are talking tanks versus squishies.
They're actually just going full ham onto the damage right now. We're seeing the Shimby, we're seeing the Kalari. Like there's no stop. There's no one to stop the tanks from just going in, right?
Right. Another thing is I am very aware that North, the offlaner for Royalty, is a huge Shinbi fan. So that's probably going to be an offlane Shinbi into the Sevarog. I am not sure how this matchup goes. And just as expected, really quick, Bronze Army is going to pick up that Richter. That is a beefy comp. That is a Texas steak dinner tough comp out of Bronze Army right now. Holy cow. And then Kira to do all of that damage as well. Those big ults after all the setup that's going to come out with this Bronze Army really putting together a good comp here. And then Royalty is going to come through with the Lieutenant Bellica, try to drain a little bit of that mana on them, and then finish up with the Murdoch. So yeah, not that they had any options available to them anyways, but not a single tank on the side of Royalty here.
Bronze Army with the big loaf of Texas toast, just getting those thick boys in there. However, that could work to their disadvantage because Royalty has no front line, but Bronze Army, if the game goes in a certain direction, has no damage. They're relying on the Gadget Kira combo to actually be able to do anything. Bronze Army can get the picks they want, and that could help them in a team fight. However, there's a Kalari, there's a Shimby, there's a Bellica, there's a Murdoch. There's just a lot of, pick potential on Royalty's team. And if they take out the Kira and the Gadget, who's left to help them win a team fight?
Sevarog.
the Sevarog.
It's true, but it's not supposed to be like that. But it's the Sevarog sitting in there. The thing about it is Royalty's team is so squishy that even if one of these damage dealers on Bronze Army gets popped, they may be able to penetrate through that and get all of those other players. One big Gadget ult, one big Cure ult, maybe them on top of each other. We're looking at tons and tons of potential damage coming out there. But so we will definitely have to check and see how that works out for them. This game is to determine who gets 5th and who gets 6th within our bracket. I do not know off the top of my head how that breaks out for who they will play in the first round because not all of our teams have been determined yet.
So both these teams will end up in the main event either way. No one's
absolutely
getting eliminated here is what you're saying.
Yes, everybody at this point, every single person is qualified. This is just for seeding. We also did have the results of our 7th and 8th match come out as well. That was held off of stream just because of some time restraints and time issues, but it did look like no communication. Is that what it is? Yeah, no communications was able to beat Primetime. So they will be 7th. They will take on Professors. Primetime will be 8th. They will take on Team Immune, our reigning champions.
Okay, so Team Immune, definitely not anyone to scoff at. They're probably one of the best teams. Once again, we're going to say it. One of the best teams and some of the best players in the game. They managed to beat Professors out on ping, and that is a big deal. I'd love to see Immune play in NA and just see what they can do if they're actually on a comfortable ping. It might
tune into the Fang booth every first weekend of every month. The back-to-back Fang booth champions Immune will show you what they can do on no ping.
There you go. I guess
they beat a dev team at the beginning of this month in the Fang booth. So I mean, they play pretty well when they're off ping. They play pretty well when they're on ping. It's a lot of
they just play pretty well.
An understanding of the game. All right, we are gonna get into this game in just a quick second. We got our players loading in. Do you have any predictions for this, Jack? Let me know. Make a bold statement here. Who's winning this game?
Apparently I made a bold statement last game, and now we're here. Like I was all for royalty. I'm like, no, you can't stop them. It's royalty. You cannot stop them. And then they were stopped. The king's head rolled. What are you gonna do about it? I don't know. We're in a circus territory now, Lance.
We are. I also, this just kind of popped into my head, so I just want to put it out there and give that respect to the duo lane that was on Rogue. NA West represent. Let's go. Pinzo and Haro will be holding it down for the left coast, even though I don't know if either of them are actually on the coast. But NA West nonetheless. Let's go. Shout out to my boys over there holding it down in the better NA server. I said it. Say it again.
We were just
talking
about playing on ping, and NA West ping is actually sometimes worse than EU ping. And
I play on 90 ping in East, which is abysmal, but I do it. I do it all the time. Lance,
I do it. I take one for the team.
Lance, you didn't land that Decker. Yeah, because they're a second behind where I'm supposed to be at. I'm sorry, everybody. Sorry to my solo.
Learn how to be a second ahead of everyone. That's all.
I think that's what it is. I'm gonna start playing in EU, so I've got all the excuses that I could ever want.
I know I'm bad. What are you gonna do about it? It's not my fault. It's the internet.
Yeah. So, all right. It looks like we are just about to get on to Jack. What's the map called? I know you love to say it. What's the map called?
No. The map is called Twilight.
We are getting on to the Twilight for the game to decide who is going to get 5th and who is going to get 6th in our bracket.
We're entering the Twilight Zone.
We're entering the Twilight Zone.
These are Twilight hours, Lance.
And we do have the POV of royalty. Yes. Oh, and we see 6 on Kalari. So it was said earlier, but not necessarily shown on stream. Everybody watches 6 all of the time. He's one of the more popular streamers in this. Don't know how much Kalari he plays on his stream and stuff, but this man absolutely terrorized a Feng Mao earlier today. I think the Feng Mao ended up with like all close to negative amounts of CS at like the 20-minute mark when the game ended. He was like 1-16 or something. I believe the man may have left the tournament. This guy 6 is an absolute menace on the invisible assassin here. So keep your eyes peeled. They're already trying something cheeky. Look at this.
And they're just waiting for someone to walk up and get that ward off. We'll see how it actually goes. There's one ward on one side of the map. They have an idea of where the enemy team is looking. Pray to God Bronze Army doesn't actually step up.
All right, looking more like a Platinum Army, being a little bit cautious instead of just making those bronze moves of invading right there. I did think that was a pretty clever idea for Team Royalty to try to hide there and get that 5 point. A lot of times people try to sneak in there and get an early ward right on those stairs right there to try to catch that pathing of it. Oh, and we've got some love in the mid lane.
And Seismic and Shaw just
Seismic and Shaw doing the cha-cha.
Doing the cha-cha. And they're now going to go back to farming, getting things going. I want to see where 6 is going to go, Lance. Like, Kalari needs that advantageous early 1-3, or else the champion can fall off quite quickly. So how 6 plays this game out really can determine where the rest of the game actually goes.
Yeah, and 6 giving a lot of respect to Crashy, not trying to do that invade and steal his level 1 buff. You see a lot of Kalaris do that in solo queue, but I am telling you, if you miss that and the enemy gets their red buff and they're level 2 and you're level 1 and they try to fight you, you die, and then it's super hard to play Kalari from behind. So good job on 6 being respectful of Crashy, our favorite guest star we've ever had for a reveal show. And, you know, playing at the start. We're going to get a full clear off on his red side jungle. And look at Seismic just walking straight up, popping the passive off the gadget shield, then going to hit her with a right click as well. Really well timed there. Now that passive is down for a couple of seconds as well in the mid lane.
What are you hoping for the Shinbi to do against the Sevarog? Because there are options there, but I don't know if it can actually be sustained long term, like outside of getting the early Megacosm.
So this is an interesting approach to how you're supposed to play this lane, but in my opinion, you leave. You try to roam as much as you can.
You just don't be in it.
Yeah, you've got the double disco dash. The Sevarog is going to farm, but he's probably going to farm with you there anyways. You can try to poke him out, but his Q sustain is probably going to get him out of it anyways. Shinbi's got really good mobility. Like I said before, the double disco dash. Try to get to that mid lane and make plays on the gadget, or make plays to invade the red side jungle or enemy jungle to try to just get away from it, because there's not a whole lot you're going to do to slow the Sevarog down from stacking, even though, you know, obviously, as we see, he is low health right now, but eventually that's going to change. He's going to get his stacks at some point anyways. You have to make impacts on the other side of the map because you're not killing a Sevarog over and over again.
And we are seeing that impact actually happen right now as Kalari is walking into the enemy 5 camp and picking them up. I'm surprised Crashy didn't bother going for them. I think he might be just looking to get buff camp and then gank. So we may see Crashy. There he is.
Yeah,
He's popping
we just
up on
saw
the
him.
map on the other side.
He's going to try to hit the lane gank, go around like by the... Oh, here we go.
And that's going to be Kalari going in, trying to apply the death mark on the dagger.
Oh!
Stark is not going to go down. He gets to live another day. In the mid lane, we are looking at Gideon box it out with the gadget. The nice little gate fence is going to go down and walk away from it. In the right lane, we are looking at Murdoch live once again with 10 HP. Sockcap and Sneaky at no health is just taking a little bit of damage to get the kill as Dare to Care on the Bellica is looking for it. He has to blink away with his own one. And the Rock! Kobe coming in from across the lane. It's Play-Doh picking up the very first kill of the game.
Man, all the way down the lane like Gilbert Arenas hitting the deep ones. Wow. Really good rock there by Play-Doh. Getting into the right spot at the right time. We do see... We had said that this is Crashy. This is not Crashy. I apologize once again. I've got my teams all confused. This is Play-Doh, who is the bronze army jungler that we saw. That is who Six was respecting earlier by not doing that cheeky invade as well. But we're going to give him his due now as he hits that long-range rock to get the first blood, get that little bit of gold advantage for himself. And it looked like so many people were potentially going to be able to fall in that team fight with as low as all the health bars are. Miso, Sneaky, and Sockcap had pretty much nothing left. You saw that the support, Dare to Care, was so low that the rock did kill him. Murdoch on Providence was in the exact same spot where, you know, one little tick was going to be enough.
You could look at them funny. You could hurt their feelings. They'd go down. Right now, Royalty almost seems like they could be on the back foot. I don't think they were expecting the last game to go the way it was, and that could affect your mental. They may just try to be playing more cautious this game than what they're used to, despite their comp being a very aggressive and early game team comp where they want those advantages. They might be in their own heads. Who knows? But right now, it's Bronze Army who has the very small advantage, but it's still an advantage.
Right. Nonetheless, it is a little bit of pressure. It is a little bit of advantage, which is what you want, especially over in that dual lane. Kira is so oppressive when she gets ahead. If you get into auto attack range with her, she will kill you with the slow on her Q, with the dash on her E. It's so hard to get away with the damage she does.
And we are seeing the Shinbi
solo kill.
There's going to be a solo kill in the mid lane. Seismic finally picks up the gadget. Cha going down, getting sent back to base. Kalari in the right lane looking for a gank, using the invisibility to his advantage, forcing Sockcap to back out and use the blink to create that extra space. Six still looking. Maybe he can get that one little bit of damage off. Might go for Sockcap, but instead looking at the Kira walks by. There it is, double dagger with the blink, with the death cap, and it is enough. Gideon Seismic is going to pick up the kill. Score now 2-1 in favor of Royalty. Rampage and Play-Doh looking to get Kalari off those 3 camps. What can he do? It might not be enough as it's Rampage versus Kalari duking it out. Richter throwing out the hook. It will miss. And Six is going to just walk away. He's level 6. Sockcap is level 4. Rampage is level 5.
Yeah, having that level advantage is probably part of why he felt safe to be able to stay in there, try to get that extra hunt kill through, steal that 3 camp away from him, even though he was in it. He knew he had the double jump when he needed to be safe. The rocket had been thrown, so not a real threat coming out of the Rampage there.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how that
goes.
Six
is continuing to pressure. He's right over here in this mid lane. He's coming right back in on this gadget. They are unrelenting on it. Going to drop the Tesla Dome, but it might be a little bit too late. One more auto attack is going to get it, and Six is going to get the credit for that. Rampage is going to press forward, going to be able to trade the kill back, but Play-Doh is now coming up onto the Gideon. Going to have to be careful as the rocks are starting to fall on it.
And Play-Doh has to back out for his own safety. It doesn't matter if he's the tank and the Gideon is the squishy target. He can be killed if he stays too long. So he's recognizing that. He's backing up. He's playing it safe. That was a nice 1-for-1 trade. We're seeing mid lane start getting very aggressive between the two. Seismic just wants to get in, press the advantage. Now Play-Doh in the river going for the kill on Dare to Care. He burned his ultimate. They're looking at that Fangtooth right now, Lance. They're looking for that pressure. It's Bronze Army that wants to get that early game lead on objectives.
Yeah, honestly, a really impressive performance coming out of Bronze Army so far. They did just get that prio, so they've got the ward control over the Fang Pit right now. As you can see, Royalty's got no wards on that. Looks like a little bit of a fight is going on over the gold buff right now, but it looks like Bronze Army is able to push them back. Plato's going to come in again, just going to kind of posture around. The hook's going to land.
Big hook for
Sockcat's going to hit him, but Dare's going to be able to jump back into the lane. This should give Bronze Army prio over that Fang Pit if they choose to peel back that way, as Royalties is going to have to reset. But it looks like Bronze Army is going to stay in lane, actually.
Right now, Bronze Army is really, really getting small leads where they need it. And I'd like to see them take the Fangtooth right now. I'm not too sure if they're actually going to do it yet.
Yeah, the Gadget had gone away from the map for a second as well, but now she is back in mid lane. Six is going to try another gank over here. Oh, they're even going to use the long arm with a lot to try to force him down. It's going to force the blink out of Stark here, but definitely enough to stay alive. Ooh, no. Go back to Six if you can, quick. Six is chasing. Oh, no, he got off of it. Okay. I thought he was about to double jump up into the tower. Thank you, observers, for being responsive. I appreciate you. But it doesn't look like he is going to get as aggressive as Six likes to play, and he's going to let him run back into the tower. Probably isn't going to be able to catch that Sevarog in the tier 2 anyways. Got to be careful of the subjugate, and we are back to where we were at before. Once our pixels resolve a little bit, we'll get you a kill score, but I believe it is still 3-2 in the favor of Team Royalty.
CM Stark there with the lazy back that started that play, not knowing the Kalari was there, but allowing the Kalari to get into position. From across the map, the Murdoch was able to apply the damage and hoping the Death Mark and the Murdoch laser would squeak it out. The nice thing about Kalari, Shinbi, and Murdoch is they don't actually need to be beside you to actually secure that kill. All three champions have long-range global kill potential. Just got to press R, just got to press E, just got to wait it out. And that's all they really need to do. CM Stark was able to squeak away. And the funny thing is Six had 1 second left on his ultimate. 1 second earlier, he would be able to just press R, dive the tower, and get out. He could have even walked behind and looked for that kill, like you said. We wanted the observer to look at, but he wasn't able to get it. They just backed off. They decided to play it a little safer than they may usually do in solo queue and continue the game from there. We're still at 0-0 for Fangtooth, and this is around the time where people should start positioning for either Prime or Fangtooth. Very common to let the games just, go a little longer when you feel safer to take the objective and you don't actually throw an early game lead.
Right. Something that we had seen in the very first event we ever did is that TOS actually won for us. They were taking Fangtooth and then Orb Prime on exact timers. They were taking it at 8:30. They were doing it the Orb Prime or the mini Orb almost immediately after that. Not seeing as much of that early objective pressure out of any of the teams really today in the tournament. Oh, so close. North just about gets Seismic with that ult off of the Shinbi, but still a chunky boy over here in the Sevarog. But basically what I am saying is people are just kind of delaying to do those big objectives here until they feel a little bit safer, just like Jack is pointing out. And I think that has to do with the evolution of the players within the game. People are getting better. Ooh, here's a great roam coming out of Seismic. Stark is going to be in trouble. He doesn't have a blink from the gank earlier. Let's see if he's got the damage to get him down. Gonna slither forward. Yeah. No, what a beefy boy.
It's going to be Seismic missing the rock from above and not being able to secure the kill. That's the damage difference you need. You can be the best player in the game, but you still miss your abilities, and that's what the game, that's how the game can be won or lost. Just that one ability you need to miss. We're now seeing Kalari with the mini Prime buff trying to apply the pressure off. They're now looking at the Fangtooth for both teams, getting the vision out, getting the pressure. Plato now not in the best position, not fully aware of what's going on around him, as the rest of Royalty just jumps straight on him. Sockcat there to apply the pressure and go for the Kalari, but not where he wants to be, as a lot of damage comes through. The long arm of the law from across the map will not secure the kill. Once again, everyone living with 1 HP at all times.
I don't think this is over yet. Bronze Army is bleeding really bad. They got a bunch of people down at nothing. Kalari is going to be able to sneak in there. Six is going to pick up the kill onto Plato. The Rampage is going to drop. Not a whole lot more pressure. The long arm of the law was used early in that team fight as well, so no long range follow-up coming out of the Murdoch at this point. and it looks like they're going to have to get a reset out of Bronze Army, which should open this Fangtooth up for Royalty. I know 6 is resetting right now, though.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting what they buy, what their next items are. Interesting enough, on the Shinbi on North, we are not seeing Megacosm into the Sevarog, which is a little untraditional, Lance, because that's the one item in the game that you use for AP champions to actually deal with a frontline or deal with a tank. It even works a little bit like Combustion because it has a Combustion passive or something similar to a Combustion passive where you're doing that extra max health damage every so often when you land an ability.
Yeah, they definitely need to be looking towards some pen with all of the tanks on the other side. Items like Megacosm, which isn't actually traditional magic pen, but still works in the same where it's percent health damage instead of like a flat AP amount. Something like that. Something like the Wraith leggings. Definitely going to need to see them out. A lot of people are going World Breaker on Shinbi, not necessarily first item, but if anybody's going to pioneer a build on this champion, it is North. It is one of his bread and butters. So I don't want to question his motives just too much, but I would expect to see a Megacosm coming out next on that Shinbi.
And we are actually seeing a couple kills get picked up in favor of Royalty. The Gideon with the black hole going in now onto the Kira. 6 trying to walk away as Sevarog walking into the fight, now joining it, doing what he can. Sockcap coming in from behind onto the Gideon, who has to blink out of the fight. Oh, sorry, it wasn't the Gideon. I believe it was the Murdoch. Gideon's in there now going forward, and he's applying whatever damage he can. It's going to be Province picking up the kill onto Sockcap. CM Stark on the Sevarog with no mana but near full health, being knocked up by Dare to Care as Royalty's just collapsing on him, using whatever they can. 6 with next to no HP, but he does not care for his own safety. He wants the kill. He's going to secure it. And now his team is going to secure the Fangtooth. While in the duo lane, it's Province running down that T2 and securing it. So they're getting a nice big lead here, Lance.
Yep, and there's the first major objective of the day of the game. We had some of those turrets fall already, as it looks like Royalty has taken down 4 towers, but there's the first Fangtooth of the game. So if we're going to get to Primal in this game, it's going to be real late. I've got too many pixels to be able to see the time on the clock. I think it's 13-15 minutes into the game. So yeah, we're looking at 25-30 minutes before we're going to see a Primal Fangtooth. So probably not going to be on the board with as quick as some of these games today have ended. So going to be important to fight around that Orb Prime. But I actually do think that that is in Royalty's benefit to delay those major objectives like that. Because with the fact that they don't have any big tanky people, you don't want to put a Primal Fangtooth onto the team that has the tanks. Because then they have the damage to be able to kill you while you still cannot get through them.
Yeah, the score is 11-2 in favor of Royalty as we have another team fight breakout. It's Shinbi trying to run away from the Sevarog as best she can, applying whatever damage that may be there. She's going to double dash away. The Subjugate will land at max range. CM Stark picking up the kill on North.
Yeah, CM Stark's going to hit it from way downtown, land the Subjugate, not able to get enough length in the double disco dash to get away on the Shinbi, and just a really good pick. They're coming out for the Bronze Army. That is the stuff that they are going to need to get themselves back into this game. Down 8 kills, down 4 towers, down 1 Fangtooth. It's starting to look a little grim for them, even though they started off pretty well. But Royalty is really starting to grab this game by
the horns.
The horns. Thank you for
the steering wheel, whatever.
Inappropriate. Yes, thank you.
Just grab the game and go with it. We saw Plato using his ultimate way too late in the fight. He tried to just jump up and get away, but Kalari's got a double jump of her own. She can play the vertical game if she wants to, and she did. And that is going to be 6 picking it up. They're now looking at Mini Prime. They do manage to grab it. We'll find out who they put it onto in just a second once that goes through, and we are seeing whatever pressure we can be put down by Royalty. They've gotten the lead we talked about. It was a early game versus a holdout. They're managed to get their picks, and they're not even picking the carries a lot of the time. They're actually picking the tanks that should be the ones holding the team together.
Yeah, they definitely are, and it looks like that might be happening kind of again here with Sockcap in a bit of trouble with the Gideon pursuing him here. Gonna see if they're gonna be able to clean both of these up. Richter is the primary target. They're gonna hand that all over to Province. Get a little bit of it. Oh, the big black hole is gonna come out just enough range to get Sneaky, who is gonna have to flash out of it, but Plato's going to be behind him on the rampage, going to pop the Razorback as he does realize this isn't a fight that he wants to take in the 2v2, and he's just going to run right past them. They're going to let him go, and they're going to retreat back to their inhibitor here as Royalty is starting to make a pressure on to the right side inhibitor here of Bronze Army.
A little bit of a handshake there. We saw Gideon with the red buff applying the slow that the red buff does give you, so Province can try and catch up and then use the ADC's capability of Murdoch's range, more or less, on his auto attacks. However, the team was able to come in. They were able to create that peel, and instead of fighting more, they said, you know what? We saved our guy. You can walk away. It's fine. We'll just, call it a handshake, more or less. We'll see you in 2 minutes when we get a better idea of what's going on. We do see Mini Prime on the Kalari as Rampage holds the rock to try and get the secure, but she's going to jump up the air, go invisible, and just use her ultimate to try and get out.
Yeah, and does survive, was in a tough spot there as the enemy team kind of had her surrounded, nowhere to go but up and over at that spot. So good mastery of the champion there on 6 to know how to find the escapes. And that's the difference between a good and a bad Kalari, is knowing how to find those escapes. She has a very small health pool, so being able to, find those angles, know when you're invisible, when you're seeing all of the different ins and outs of that champion is what makes her so skill expressive and what makes her so difficult to play, honestly, at a high level at least.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. One thing I find interesting is we just peek at the scoreboard a second ago. There is a 200 CS difference in favor of Royalty. The score is 13-3, I believe. They're now running through the enemy jungles, but we know the game is in one advantage as the black hole does come out. Plato going down to Seismic, Gadget following up with the Tesla Dome to try and create whatever damage she can as Seismic has to dash away through the Gideon portal. CM Stark is chasing him down, drops the Subjugate, is going to miss it, and it's Seismic getting away. Maybe we see Stark go down on the Sevrog as the enemy team, Royalty, is going to try and collapse inwards, but CM Stark does manage to walk away. They are on Prime now. This is pushing that lead further. I was just about to say,
no contention out of Bronze Army too, as you see Plato over on the right side of the map taking that tier 1 right now. So they're just going to give this away. But I do want to cycle back really quick to what you were talking about with CS, right? So they're 200 CS above as a team. A kill is rough, like 15 to 20 CS roughly. So if you do that math, on top of the fact that they're up 15-3 right now, they've got about another 20 kills worth of gold in their pockets as well. So just miles ahead, especially in objectives as well. Now they've got this Orb Prime buff as well. Should be able to just kind of push into the base of Bronze Army as they are in a demanding lead right now and should be able to comfortably secure our 5th seed in our main event in 2 weeks.
So what I was going to say before that team fight broke out is we know there's a massive gold advantage. We know there's a massive lead, but the game actually felt a lot more even than it shows on paper. It felt like Bronze Army was still able to scrap, still with the box, still willing to just show up and be there through the game. I think that moment has passed. This is Royalty fully in the driver's seat and forcing Bronze Army to just play on the back foot. They're playing reactionary at this point. They're not able to get those advantages. The enemy team, Royalty, is just walking into the jungle and at this point doing what they want. That early game damage comp, no frontline, is paying off. And this is how you do it. You win your early games, you make sure you don't die, you get your advantages, and then you can just hit the gas pedal all the way through.
It's too early in the game to say this, but really Bronze Army's only hope is to stall at this point. They're about to lose 2, maybe 3 inhibitors, but the one thing they need to do right now is slow this down. Sevrog becomes a monster. He's the ultimate scaler within this game. They've got the tanks, they've got the beef. It's just about being able to get to the point where they can no longer be killed, but it doesn't look like Royalty is going to give them the opportunity to get to that point as the right inhibitor is going to fall. They're going to move into the mid. The mid inhibitor is going to fall. They still got that Prime buff for about a minute now, I would say, looking to be able to change or end this game, get our 5th seed, and end the day for them.
And yeah, as we said, they were looking for that opportunity, but that opportunity passed probably 5 minutes ago when they got picked in their own red jungle. That this is now just Royalty finishing the game off and, getting back into the position of power after what happened last game. They're not going to let it go the way it did just only half an hour ago. It is just them pushing forward, getting every inhibitor, getting every pressure as we see Seismic and Province take down Sockcap. And they're going to just put the pressure on. And there is the black hole to maybe secure the game as Miso Sneaky has no health. He goes down to Shinbi. Subjugate going out to apply whatever wave clear they can on those buffed up minions. And they're just going in to try and secure it. Kalari going to get the gadget. There is no damage left on Bronze Army. And that is it. The game is done. Royalty not completely at a loss. They are still able to show that they're major contenders in this game, 19-3.
Whew, sheesh! And what an what a great performance out of Royalty in totality on the day, ending the day 3-1. I believe that puts Bronze Army at 3-2 for the day as well. But really,
look at those damage numbers, Lance. Look at those damage numbers.
Wow, that Shinbi did
damage.
That Shinbi did a bunch of damage, but that makes sense because she is just kind of sitting there pouring it into that Sevarog over and over again. But big shout out to Royalty. They are going to claim our 5th seed. Big shout out to Bronze Army. They are going to be our 6th seed. Like I said before, we've got our 7th and 8th seed set already. We only have one more match for you today. That is to decide who gets 3rd and who gets 4th. Going into our main event, that's going to be between Rogue, who we just saw pull that upset on Royalty. We're going to see if they can pull another one on Red Dojo. Actually, I don't want to call it an upset already.
Is it one game or is it 2 games left?
There's one game left, and it is between Red Dojo and Rogue, and it is going to be great. But let's not look forward without doing a little bit of reflection first. What went so well for Royalty in that game, Jack?
They had a bit of a back foot at the start, like we discussed, but afterwards they were able to just put things together and they were able to just get those picks, catch out the people they needed to do. I've said it before, those weird squishy team comps, they're volatile, they're unstable. However, when you make it work, you'll be pulling your own hair out and screaming, why can't I kill all these squishies? Our front line is huge. Well, the answer is you didn't kill them soon enough. You let them play the game, and now they just do too much damage. What are you going to do? Okay, you pick the ADC. All right, there's a Kalari. Okay, you pick the Kalari. All right, there's a Shinbi. You pick the Shinbi. There's now a Gideon. Everyone is a damage dealer. Everyone's a priority target. And when everyone does damage, you can't stop them. The highest form of CC is death. We talked about it last game.
That is my favorite line to talk about in any sort of like MOBA games at all. There's no CC better than death. Put them in the fountain if you don't want them to be able to kill your carry, you know?
So stick them in a box, dude.
Great job by Royalty. Like I said before, we have got one more game left for you today. It's going to be great. I'm going to be casting that one with our guy, Spooky Mars. We're going to take a little bit of a break and we will be back with our desk. Stick around.